May 9, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. It's another pretty slow, low volume day. The only economic data that came out was the unemployment claims, which came out at around 5:30 Pacific Standard, which is about right here. Didn't look like it moved the markets too much. And then again at around 10:01, which is about right here, for the 30-year bond auction. I took a total of one trade today and I was profitable, but then I would say most of the trade setups that I found happened the first half of the day. And then I have these black arrows, which were kind of like iffy. I just jotted in for my own notes, but I'm not really sure they were trades. And I also want to point out that this, from the market regular trading hour open to about 10 o'clock, is roughly the halfway point of the day. This is about 3.5 hours of trading. And see how many candles are here? Then, if you try to create a duplicate of this, this is what the next 3 hours from 10 to 1 o'clock Pacific Standard. This is another 3 hours of trading. And you can tell price action just is really slow. The candles are taking a while to print and close. There just wasn't that many opportunities that I could find today. We go through the trades right now. I saw kind of like two big legs, this purple one, which I didn't really find until much later, and then a more gradual black one. But in between, I did see a lot of these swings, consolidation, sell off, another swing, kind of a little consolidation here. So it's just kind of these choppy little legs. But overall, the bigger picture is it looked like it was a rally day. But even when it was a rally day, it wasn't too exciting, not too many setups. So as kind of what's been normal for the week is really slow trading, not many opportunities. Well, not very many safe opportunities. This is a pre-market. It kind of sold off in this orange leg, then it kind of went up in this bigger green leg. There are multiple little, swing legs up or swing legs up, but I didn't really, I don't really trade the pre-market, but there's nothing really here of note, except for maybe this guy. You could say, because if you found this channel early, even if it was slightly off, like let's say here, you could say maybe there is a second entry long here. So first entry long, maybe a second entry long, bounces off the EMA, comes back and closes. But even then, I'm not that excited about that particular setup if I saw it in real time in regular trading hours. So it makes a pre-market high, pre-market low, market opens, and it starts pushing. So immediately, I kind of think I saw this first setup. So there's a new high here, it's a first entry long pullback. Technically, you have a second entry long here. And then this is where I actually saw a potential setup and trade and I actually took it. So I was thinking there's this big push up. It is hitting the pre-market highs. And I actually saw it as kind of a two legs down because depending on how you drew it at the time, you could make the argument that it looks something similar to this. So it's like a break a new high, push two pushes up. And the way I saw it, and it isn't the best setup, I did see a potential triple test off a potential trading range. It's a break of this big green up channel, which I don't have that much confidence on. So in hindsight, I think I should have skipped it. And it looks like two visual legs, one leg down, pull back, second leg down. And I'm thinking it could kind of break out of this consolidation and create another kind of a choppy leg upwards. So when I saw this, I actually counted as visual first entry long, pullback, potential second entry long. So when I saw this, I liked that it broke one tick below, and then reversed itself. Actually, I think it's two ticks. Yeah, two ticks below. Kind of bounced off this triple test and reversed pretty strongly. So I entered the trade here, one tick above. And I'm going to admit this trade is not high probability, so it could very easily have stopped me out if I didn't get my lucky fill here, because I was only going for 4 ticks and then it flushed down. So this candle likely would have ended it as a red trade if I wasn't fortunate and I was in the queue to get filled. Now, this isn't the best trade, and this ended up being the one and only trade because when I saw this, I kind of realized early on, because this is only in the first 4 minutes, that I need to calm down, wait for better setups before I jump in. Then I do see a lower high here. Now this possible short trade because it's a strong reversal of this attempted failed breakout because it ticked a couple ticks up and it flushed down pretty hard. So I'm not too sure that it's in this trading range anymore, but I'm not discounting the possibility it might be in this larger pre-market trading range. So the only thing that could have made this an even better trigger or signal bar would if it closed at the low or at least tick below this bar here. So I thought this might have been a possible trade. I saw it in real time and I just wasn't too sure because I just came off of this kind of sketchy trade. It was only 5 minutes later, but turns out it would have worked out pretty well. Prices come back down. I do see this new low. It's a first entry short, pull back, second entry short. Second entry short technically hasn't really failed yet. And here is pushing back up. So again, technically hasn't failed yet. So here now for sure it's failed. So it's new low, first entry short, second entry short, failure, failed second entry short, pushing back up. I drew this purple trend line and then I kind of made it into a larger channel, but I wasn't too on board with it crossing this channel just yet. But I did think, okay, there might be some kind of support here. Here I'm looking for a confirmation lower high, excuse me, higher low. And it kind of comes and it happens here. There's a higher low, pushes down. You don't really have a higher low confirmation yet, but it is kind of confirming a potential higher low here. You needed to break above here and not break below here. And so that happens. So I think there's an entry here. It's a confirmation of the, excuse me, of the second entry short failure. And the problem with this is there is kind of hitting a double top here. So if I were to enter, I would have entered it probably at the high of this candle to make sure I got it out, but it is pushing right up to the edge. So this looks like it would have filled me, and then my exit would have been at 52.12. And it looked like it would have gotten me out with 2 extra ticks to spare. And prices continue moving up. Breaks out of this orange up channel, breaks out of the pre-market trading range. So this trading range pre-market isn't very confirmed, isn't very strong. So I'm not necessarily thinking there's going to be a potential failed breakout just yet, or not just yet, but I'm debating whether a failed breakout really will occur and prices come back down through here. And it looks like it just kind of oscillates. It breaks out of this orange channel as I had here. I was thinking maybe I draw a little bit higher to encapsulate the no breakout. And it kind of fit pretty well here, maybe a two-tiered channel. Breaks out. So now I'm thinking maybe it's going to push back into the orange range, orange channel. I have a new high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long. Now this second entry long, this is very tempting to me. I almost jumped on this. The thing that was holding me back, and I called it an almost trade, is the break of this green down channel made one attempt down and it failed to make a new extreme. But it's pretty close, so the shorts might consider that this is job accomplished. It did touch the extreme. Now, what I really wanted out of this to make me jump on the trade, I like that it ticked above, went down, and then flushed and closed up. The thing I didn't like is, or the thing I needed from it was to close outside or above the pre-market high as well as the EMA, because you can see the EMA is kind of right there at the pre-market high. Now, keep in mind, this pre-market high was established by me. I kind of drew it here, so it does have a little bit of variation. It could be one tick above, one tick below. So you can make the argument that it actually is above the pre-market high or maybe even below. But what can't be debated is it is right at or below the EMA. I also wanted this to close above the high of this guy in this type of case. So those two things are already going against me. The EMA for sure. The pre-market high, whether it's above or below, is kind of how you drew it. But for sure, there's one thing going against it right now. I also wanted the close to be above the previous signal bar high. I wanted to close above, and that would give me confidence. Or I needed this candle actually to tick below, make a double bottom, or ideally tick below one tick at least, this guy, and then reverse very strongly. Because then that would tell me there's a lot of momentum pushing it all the way back up, but it failed to do that. So it left me wondering, is there a chance that this price actually could be one push down, one attempt up, second attempt up, and then comes back down to touch and bounce off of this purple, in which case I would get stopped out because my stop would have been below this candle. So it's kind of an almost trade, very tempting though. It looked like it would have worked though. So whether this is a good trade or not, I may have overanalyzed it, but the way I saw it is there is just lacking a couple things that I needed to make me pull the trigger. And I'm okay leaving that trade alone because I did kind of luck out on this trade, so I'm green for the day. So I really wanted to wait for a really pristine, higher probability setup. And you're gonna find out the rest of the day kind of doesn't provide too many of those. So then prices continue moving up. This is just really tight trading. Nothing really, no second entries, nothing really clean. You do have a new high, first entry long, second entry long is a bad signal bar. Comes down, bounces off, and it can kind of chops again. And it kind of moves up this red channel. So at the time, I was trying to make this fit some kind of larger channel narrative, but nothing seemed to fit super clean. So what I ended up doing, I did have this at one time I was playing it, whether it's going to be an overshoot or kind of encapsulate it. I just said, okay, I'm just going to leave it alone and leave them as small legs and kind of work with that until I can find eventually this big purple channel, but I wasn't really confident in the purple channel just yet. The prices then continue moving. EMA is holding, so it's showing strength now because there was a couple violations here, but now there's a one test here, a second test. You could argue for a third test, another test. So it's telling me the EMA is acting as support. But I also noticed that this uptrend is starting to taper off. So you do have a new high, first entry long, pullback. Now I saw this second entry long potential, and this was also very tempting, and I thought it was a possible trade because it's a very strong signal bar, but it is doji. But the thing also going for it is only 4 ticks, so it's only a 6 point risk because you enter 1 tick above and have 1 tick below. So it's only a 6 point risk. It looks like it is some kind of, I can't argue for triple test yet because if you extended this range over to here, I really count this as the first test and then the second test. So I need a third one, in the future, then I would know for sure it's a triple test. Nevertheless, I thought this could have been a possible trade if this had just closed with its body right above the EMA, and depending on your chart, maybe it does for you. I thought this was a possible trade, at least for 1 point scout. So it looks like this, let's see, it's at 52.29, 25. So I probably would have gotten in maybe at 52.29.50, but I need to get out at 52.30.50. And it looks like it just ticks there, but doesn't tick through. So it's debatable whether this would have been a green trade or a red trade. But I will say that I think I was tempted to take this, and fortunately, I did not because I think this would have stopped me out. And then prices move up. It kind of chops in this pink consolidation area. It starts moving down. You have a new high. You have a first entry long pullback, and then you do get a second entry long, but it's too far away, and it's below the EMA. So there's nothing I really like. I wasn't sure, but I kind of, I extended Mickey Mouse around with the channel, and it looked like it had at least 3 confirmations. But by this time, this isn't very, I don't trust it too much because there's just too much space up here, a lot of space down here. It's more of a guideline, but no true key entry point yet. So it breaks out of this yellow down channel, makes a new low, bounces, kind of consolidates here. You do have a new low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short, confirmed second entry short failure, but I wouldn't have thought to take a trade here necessarily just yet. Goes up, and then I do see a higher low. The problem with this higher low, it is kind of a doji-ish candle. So I didn't mark it, but it's something I noticed 2 more times throughout the day. This looks like maybe this was a decent trade to take, but it looks a little jarbled because I could easily count this as maybe the localized new low. It's only 1 tick away, so technical count, it is truly a second entry short here. But I could also see this as first entry short, second entry short. So then maybe a second entry short failure here, confirmed. But then if you waited, it would have flushed down and likely stopped you out if you kept your stop 1 tick below. So this is a little tricky. Drops around, continues moving. So at this point, I'm not sure the purple is in play because it's dwelled for quite a bit of while outside and it's finding some challenges breaking into it, breaking back in. Prices then continue moving. So it chops. This is no clear second entries here. Prices then continue moving up. It hits this, what I thought is some kind of resistance here. You have a double top here. You actually have first entry long, pullback. You technically have a second entry long here, but this is in the middle of nowhere. So if you did the strict count, you do have a second entry long. You could make the argument that this is only a 6-tick bar, but I don't really like just saying, well, it's a 6-tick bar, I should take the trade, because you shouldn't just take a trade just because the risk is low, especially if there's no good context. It is a break of this yellow up channel and made a new high, made one attempt, and then flushed down, So, there's second entry long here. So I'm waiting for a confirmation. Now this creates a lower high. So when I saw this print and flash up, I think, okay, there's a confirmed lower high. Is there a trade here? Well, this was below the EMA. I don't really know what in real time this is going to do. It's kind of a doji. I'd rather see a body here, but it is more bullish leaning. When this forms, then I'm thinking, well, there is a trade potential to go back up, but where would I put my entry? Because this is a 2.75 or 11 tick risk. If I want to go one bar, one tick above here, I'm asking for the price, which closed up here, to come all the way down, pick me up, and then flush back up. So I don't like the prospect of that. To ask, prices come back more than halfway, pick just me, just pick up whoever decided to do that and then flush back up. So it's kind of a weird reversal. So you're asking sellers to come in, push it down, and then suddenly give up and let the bulls take over. So it's not very likely that was going to happen. But I did see this, marked it, and even if you did try to do what I just said, you would have missed out. It wouldn't have worked. Prices then continue moving, makes a new high. You have first entry long here. So this is kind of the other thing that I noticed. So it's a new high, first entry long, pullback. Here it's about to create a second entry long. So these three black arrows are all like trades that have the signal bars that are these very characteristically more bullish dojis. But, I don't think they're trades. There's just kind of something interesting that I saw today. Kind of adds to the challenge of today not being the easiest day, but it wasn't super difficult, but it wasn't as obvious. And there wasn't that many setups that I could see. I just see a new high, first entry long, pullback. It's about to create a second entry long, but it's below the EMA. Here creates the second entry long, and after you wait for this signal bar to close, definitely I would not have thinking going long anymore or even going short because this isn't a very convincing follow through candle. And if you're thinking new low, first entry short, second entry short, this isn't a good follow through candle or setup to go short either because you really don't know what's going on. It's creating higher lows every time. It looks like it's pressing up against this. So there is kind of like a hint of a bullish bias. So I wouldn't be thinking going short. And I wouldn't be thinking going long follow through because there's too much tail here. Looks like this would have flipped you out though. And then it reverses on you. So it's kind of like a really tricky setup right here. The prices continue moving up. So there's a new low, first entry short. You get your second entry short way up here. But it's just too far away now. This isn't the best setup. It just looks a little iffy. No, so there's nothing there. Creates a double top. Let's go first entry long, pull back. This creates a second entry long. Second entry long, potentially there's a trade here. EMA kind of held. What would have been perfect is if these candles obeyed and stayed above. I don't like that this one flushed down so strongly below. Ideally, this setup would have had this candle pick one tick above and confirm the second entry long. Then I would have gotten the order ready. But since it had trouble making and breaking above this high, I left it alone. It looked like if you did try to enter, you get filled, and then you'd be flushed down. Your stop likely is right here, so you'd be nervously waiting. And here, looks like it would have come down just to stop you out. And if it didn't, it'd do a second attempt to stop you out right here. And by this time, if you didn't get out with or take a loss, then you're just watching this chop you up sideways. Then prices continue moving. I thought there was a trading range here. It's just congestion, nothing I really particularly like, and it's a very small range. Then prices kind of move and it kind of goes into the close. So similar to yesterday, the last 10 minutes has a few candles, but not very probable or high probability setup. So this is overall what the day looked like. This easily could have been a no trade day. And I think this trade that I took early on, although I was profitable, I do know and have in my notes that this wasn't the best setup. So I was kind of just dumb luck that I actually got this trade. So nothing too exciting. It was some parts very kind of more tricky and kind of would have faked you out, but hopefully that was helpful.